Hey YouTubers, Grimmy Dragon here, and it's once again review time, and finally the road to Thunder Mayhem has finally come to its close, as today we look at the leader of the group, Bludgeon. So Bludgeon here is a repaint of Onslaught, and a very bright repaint as a matter of fact. This kind of demonstrates what 90s Transformers were all about. Bright, garish colors that don't quite go together, but are together and somehow work. As you can see, he's got a nice bright green for the main body of the truck. All the green bits, with a little bit of brown and yellow and gray, and some white too, with purple guns that have big swords on them. And yeah, this is how you store everything on the toy when you're got it in vehicle mode. And you may also notice that you can actually store the Matrix of Malice that came with Windsweeper in the vehicle mode of this thing, although it's kind of loose in there and will rattle around a bit. Still, it's nice to have a place for it. But all in all, this is a nice vehicle mode. Works just as well for Bludgeon as it did with Onslaught. And speaking of, let's get the comparisons out of the way. So we'll bring in Combiner Wars Onslaught. And you can see the colors are quite different. Onslaught's a lot more muted, while Bludgeon here is quite bright. And that works well for him. He does have a lot of paint apps here. You got the painted tires, which is always good. You got some white paint along the grating here, some white for panels across, nice silver on the back vents, a little bit of brown here and there, and yeah, all in all, very nicely detailed. I do like it. So he does roll, but the surface on my stage here is a bit too smooth for it to catch, so they're not rolling well here. But yeah, on a little bit more of a firmer surface or a little more textured surface, it would work pretty well. So I guess for another comparison, let's bring in his team. Start with Ruckus and Needle Nose. Back this up. Then we'll bring in Windsweeper and Spinister. And yeah, that's a interesting team. Looks good though. So yeah, now the swords store on thanks to the 3 holes that are in the middle of them, and they just store right into the guns when they're put in this configuration. You know, so Onslaught had them like this. Bludgeon's really got to get them like this to make the most out of them. But yeah. In any case, that should do it for vehicle mode. Let's get him into robot mode and see how he looks there. Okay, so here we have Bludgeon in his robot mode, and he is looking very awesome. The transformation does reveal a little bit more orange and some more brown, and it looks good on him. I think this form does him justice. Very reminiscent of his G1 self, trying to homage more the Pretender shell, but it does a good job of it, and I do like him. As you can see, the swords he has make some nice weapons, and they are very big. For a quick comparison, here's the Menasor sword, and as you can see, like from handle to tip, they're just about the same length, with the Menasor sword being slightly longer, but not even by much. So yeah, these are big swords, and they look good on Bludgeon, that's for certain. We'll get this one out of the way just to see the body a little bit better. As you can see, well sculpted. Well, it's the Onslaught mold, so of course it's well sculpted, but the paint really does bring it out. And I do like them. I think it's pretty sweet. For comparison, let's start off with the Revenge of the Fallen Bludgeon with the Head Robots upgrade kit. As you can see, this one has more of the skull feature on it. Obviously this is meant to be Bludgeon, while this was meant to be Onslaught, and they just reused it for Bludgeon. But if you're not a fan of the Bayformer look, this one is probably more appealing. So I actually like them both, but I'm probably going to be going with this guy from now on. So, you know, get classic Bludgeon out of the way. But I think we ought to get a better look at the head sculpt here, because that is an interesting point to look at, because he does have a new head, and it's not the skull head that most would be used to. This is actually the inner robot head sculpt, and it's done quite well. It's very rare that you see a head sculpt that depicts the inner robot instead of the outer Pretender shell, because that's the most recognizable part of Bludgeon. But yeah, I'm glad they went with the inner robot. It kind of even justifies having both versions of Bludgeon on a classic shelf, because you have references to both forms in G1. So that's a good thing. Gone over the color scheme, that's pretty good. One thing to note is that the unfortunate incident that with Victorion, where the thigh, like the struts in the thighs, are put in backwards, it's the same here. Let's see if I can bring it out and show you. Yeah, there we go. But you can see that little notchy thing that's inside the leg. That's supposed to be on the other side of this piece, and that's actually causing it to be impossible to actually transform this the proper way. Because if you tried to, it would cause a stress mark in the main body. So yeah, you can't transform it properly. But the joints are tight enough where you can actually stand him up without a problem, even with that misassembly. So it's not all bad, and it has no effect on the combined form. So there's that. I like this guy. So yeah, I probably said that to death already, but it's true. This is an awesome use of the mold, even with that flaw. But in any case, let's get him with the original use of this mold, and that would be Combiner Wars Onslaught, who does not have swords, because the swords were designed for someone else. And I know it's kind of hard to see him with my white background, but yeah, the swords do look awesome. But yeah, these guys, you can tell they're the same mold, but there's enough differences that they work out. So, yep. Now I'll get quickly into articulation. We've got a ball jointed head that has some extra movement thanks to the transformation joint. But you got left and right, up and down, a lot of down. But you got nice clicky shoulder joints. In and out from here and from here, thanks to transformation. Yeah, so that's pretty good. You got bicep swivel, detented elbow bend here, and another bend right above, so double jointing. Sweet. No waist, which is sad, but you got nice ratcheted hips, both in and out and forward back, so good there. Thigh swivel. A little bit of knee bend, not as much as I'd like. That's mainly because of the transformation, well, the misassembly. But yeah, he's pretty articulated all the same, so I'm cool with it. Now let's get him with his comrades, the other members of the Mayhem Attack Squad. We'll get Spinister and Needle Nose, Ruckus, and Windsweeper. So yeah, those guys all look real awesome together. A nice cohesive unit. And while we also bring in their buddy Ramjet. Guess I'll have to put him over here. If he'll stand for me. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Try to get him in frame. But yeah, real nice team. But 5 of the 6 of these guys on screen actually combine, and I think it's time we did so.
Alright, boys, it's time to call the thunder and bring the mayhem!
So here we have Thunder Mayhem in all his glory, and oh my, it's a nice combiner. Very colorful. I do like the bright colors all over. quite surprising how well it turned out, all things considered, though. The 90s color scheme really works well for it, though. And as you can see, most of the parts actually blend well together, even though, yeah, he's all kind of colors. But it works in his advantage. But, looking at the head, if I can get a good view, as you can see, very Thunder Wing in the head. I think that was the point. Trying to get another member of the Mayhem Attack Squad in this mix. Although we did get a nice Generations Thunder Wing in here. I'll just bring it the picture. As you can see, they do look pretty close together, close to each other. Although this one's a little more exaggerated and very comic book feeling. Those eyes, the gritted teeth, that looks like a face from a comic book, and I love it for that. I think that head sculpt turned out very well. If I could just get the camera to actually stay on it. There we go. But yeah, that is a really cool head sculpt. Why does this camera want to go? Yeah. Now the head, I think some people were saying that it's a flat head, and yeah, you can probably make that argument, but it's not really all that flat. It's more wide than it has, it has more width than depth, but it's still pretty good. Now, you might also notice that I put the dual target masters along the sides. Seems like it doesn't want to work while plugged in. Okay. Sorry about that, technical difficulties here. But yeah, you can see that I put the target masters on the sides on Bludgeon's hands. And that makes a nice little artillery mode. I mean, this guy is armed to the teeth right now because I got all his weapons on him. You can see Spinister's sporting both his and Needlenose's guns, along with the missiles that are attached to his arms. He's got four cannons on his back. So this guy is pretty well armed. And we can't forget those gigantic swords that fit well in the combiner hands. Very tight, so I wouldn't recommend trying to get them too far into the hands, or you're never going to get them out without them breaking. Yeah. So, yeah, just use them with caution, that kind of stuff. I do like this look. Okay, so articulation, we got a ball jointed head, nice range of movement. I'll take these off. They're already falling off, but ball jointed head, nice range of movement there. Got some universal shoulders, in and out, forward, back. You got bicep swivel. Nice range of motion in the arms, thanks to those two leg joints. It's a little loose. This one's going to need some floor polish to really hold it up. But yeah, it is what it is. Does have forward, backward at the hip. Thigh swivel, Bludgeon's joints. Got a knee joint. Swivel right below the knee. So yeah, plenty of options for movement. Although balance is another story. Yeah, you know how those small hand-foot guns go. They're hard to really balance on. Now, as far as flaws go, there's only one really to speak of, and that's the usual, this thigh does not connect as well as it should, as far as the combined mode goes. But that's been on Defensor and Bruticus. Probably on Victorion. I don't have Victorion to tell you, but yeah, it's a common problem, so I'm not too worried about it. It's no better or worse than any other. Now, speaking of Bruticus, though, I think it is time for another comparison, since a lot of this, since Bludgeon was a repaint of Onslaught, it's only natural we get Bruticus in here. See how those two look together. Bruticus is rocking the Perfect Effect feat. Perfect Effect feat, so yeah. He might be a little bit taller because of that. But yeah, you can tell those two, and the paint job really makes a difference, as well as the head sculpts. But yeah, and it's crazy how different they are. But I really like Thunder Mayhem, and it's going to be hard to decide whether I want to display the members of the team individually or whether I just want to display this combiner. Okay, so that'll wrap things up for Bludgeon and Thunder Mayhem. There were a couple things I forgot to mention. First of all, yeah, you can store the swords on the backpack while in robot mode, which is pretty cool. I like that. And secondly, in robot mode, you have a place to store the Matrix of Malice. Unfortunately, you can't store it there in combined form or in vehicle mode, but at least you can put it somewhere while he's in robot mode. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. So, until then, goodbye out there, whatever you are.